The film opens on a young man, Mattia, standing terrified inside a subway station. He feels hopelessly trapped within a labyrinthine maze. It seems that whenever he walks past exit 8, he somehow circles right back to his starting point. Each time, he notices a silent man walking past the same spot, never uttering a single word. Despite his fear, Mattia considered asking the man for directions. The moment he turned around, the man was standing directly behind him with a bizarre grin, almost as if he'd read his mind. A wave of terror hit Mattia, who then asked nothing and simply bolted forward. He soon spotted a sign that read Exit 0, yet the overhead board still displayed Exit 8. This discrepancy was unsettling. He tried countless times, maybe 100, searching for any possible way to escape this place. Every path was blocked, the doors like mere decoration. He just wandered endlessly in the maze. He attempted to use the emergency call system, but discovered every intercom at the exits was dead. His own phone had no signal whatsoever. Time was running out for him now. He stopped for a moment, his eyes fixed on a picture hanging on the wall which depicted ants caught inside a peculiar loop. Just like him, they were struggling to find their final destination. But that loop had no end, and Mattia couldn't find one either. This image and its implication confirmed for Mattia that he was trapped in a similar loop and might never escape. As he was processing all this, a strange, blood-like liquid oozed from the Exit 8 sign and began to drip down onto his face. He was so frightened that instead of continuing forward, he turned and sprinted back the way he came. There, to his astonishment, he witnessed a major change. The sign that previously said Exit 0 now displayed the number 1 instead. However, everything else around him appeared exactly the same. The board also had some hints written on it. One instructed him to pay close attention. If anything seemed altered or abnormal, he should immediately run back. And if he noticed no unusual changes, he must proceed toward Exit 8 just like before. Mattia realizes the dripping red substance from before was an abnormality. He had fled backward in terror. This must be why he advanced from 0 to Exit 1. While piecing this together, a sliver of hope ignited within him that he could get out of here soon. He journeyed back toward Exit 8 once more. He sensed no alterations, so he continued moving ahead. And upon reaching the sign with Exit 0, he was completely stunned. Where Exit 1 had been written just moments ago, it was now a 0 again. This meant he had made a mistake somewhere. He realized this whole place was structured like a game. Just as one error ends a game and resets it to 0, a single misstep of his would send him back to 0. It was critical for him to obey the game's rules and play carefully if he hoped to escape this puzzle. After some thought, he pulled out his phone and began taking pictures of every single detail. This way, when he passed through again, he could spot any change. He even snapped a photo of the man who was pacing in front of him beneath the Exit 8 sign, over and over. So far, he hadn't noticed anything unusual or different, so he kept on his path forward. When he finally arrived at the board for Exit 2, it at last had Exit 1 written on it. This confirmed his theory was absolutely correct. Nothing had been altered previously, and he had cleared Level 1. For Level 2, he understood he needed to walk the loop once more and look for the next change. Now, while advancing, as soon as he pulled his mobile out and looked at his pictures to find a difference here, he discovered all the photos on his phone were blurred, making them completely useless. He understood that winning this game required him to rely only on his mind. He was contemplating this when he noticed that the man who always walked under the Exit 8 sign was now standing still. He instantly knew that this was the change. Because of this, he immediately sprinted back. But the terrifying part was that the man was now following him. It was as if he wasn't even walking, but whenever Mattia glanced back, the man was right there behind him. The frightened Mattia tripped and fell. When he looked up, he saw that he had made it to the board with Exit 0. It finally had a 2 written there. And behind him, the strange man was completely gone. This could only mean he had passed another level. After clearing 2 levels, Mattia's confidence begins to grow even more. Feeling assured, he starts committing everything to memory and actively searches for a change. He was roaming through the familiar maze again when he heard a child crying from inside one of the lockers. Apprehensively, he pulled the locker open. He was terrified by the sight inside, which the film doesn't show us. But Mattia ran back in absolute fear. By doing this, he had also cleared his third level. Now the sign that once read Exit 0 displayed Exit 3. He figured that only 5 more levels were remaining. After that, he would finally reach the corridor and awaken from this terrible nightmare. He returned to the Exit 8 area and started observing everything all over again. This time, he had the feeling that as he was passing through this corridor, someone was watching him. He glanced at the advertisements. The people depicted in the pictures were now staring at him. He registered this experience and quickly ran back once more. And at last, Exit Board 0 was changed to display Exit 4. This meant he had successfully passed 4 levels. He was incredibly happy. He had conquered half the game. He felt both overjoyed and panicked, because he knew that if he committed even one tiny mistake, he would be sent right back to 0. He started observing the Exit 8 area again. Now he was walking through the corridor when his phone rang. He looked and saw his girlfriend was calling him. Mattia felt very strange about her call, because just a few days ago, they had mutually decided to go their separate ways. Mattia answered the phone and Mattia learned that he was about to become a dad. The girl had left the final decision up to Mattia. If Mattia wanted her to have the baby, the girl was willing to come back to Mattia. After hearing this news, Mattia felt incredibly conflicted. He recalls an incident from a few days prior when he was on a train and a baby was crying. The crying infant and his mom were being berated by a man. He wanted to take a stand for the baby and his mother and wanted to confront the man. But he just didn't have the courage to say anything. Now, how could he possibly handle the responsibility of his own child? He was completely lost. In his confusion, he ended the call. The moment the call was disconnected, the exit board that had displayed 4 changed back to 0 again. In fact, he had made a truly enormous mistake. He was already aware that there was no signal in this place. And here, his girlfriend's call was the most significant change. And he missed this anomaly and he did not return to the exit board. And now, where he had cleared half the levels before, he had returned to 0. He had to play the entire game all over again. Mattia becomes so utterly frustrated by this setback that he just screams aloud. He needed to beat this puzzle, but his motivation was completely gone. He pressed onward anyway, seeing nothing different in this place at all. After rounding a corner, he spotted a child and instantly dashed for the exit behind him. But he saw that the number 0 was still showing on the exit board. That means the child was not the anomaly. It turned out that the child was trapped in this puzzle just like Mattia, and he was also attempting to get out of there. Mattia also sees that man here who is always wearing a suit and walking in front of him. At this moment, Mattia understands that the man also wasn't part of this ordeal but was stuck in this trap just like Mattia and this child, and he was also trying to find an escape from here. We were then shown that the man in the suit and this child were working together as a team previously. They also used to encounter a girl in this place who was not making any effort to escape here. When that man asked the girl why she wasn't trying to get out, the girl answered, "I get pushed by trains every day I go to work. It's such a tough life. I don't think I should go back to that tough life. I am very relaxed in this place." The girl was speaking when her voice started to shift slowly. She began repeating the same sentence that she had already said once. When her voice morphed into a man's voice, the man recognized that this was an anomaly, and he grabbed the child and ran toward the back exit board. It was shown that his exit board was displaying 6, which means he was very close. Once again, he goes to circle the loop. He tries to discover what had changed in this puzzle. Again, he sees the same girl passing by, but she does not speak to him. The child notices that the door handles were positioned in a strange way. The child attempts to point this out to the man, but the man ignores the child and leads the child forward. In this way, his small oversight resets his entire game back to the start and his exit board returns to 0. That means he had lost the game and now he had to restart it. The man was broken. He had finally given up. In a fit of rage, he screamed, but escaping from here was essential. Once again, he prepared himself to play this game. He took the child's hand and started walking forward again. Interestingly, he also saw a path to go up. He was overjoyed. He wanted to climb the stairs and ascend, but the child kept insisting that this is a game, this is an anomaly, and we have to turn back, following the rules. But the man didn't listen to the child, and he went up the stairs. And because of that mistake, he was stuck in this trap. The child who went to the exit board saw that the exit board was now 1 instead of 0. That meant the child had been right. Those stairs were an abnormality. There was no way to go outside. The child also understood that the man would now be forever stuck on those stairs. Anyway, the story returns back to Mattia, where he saw the child. Mattia figured that the child and the man had been playing as a team. Seeing the child by himself, he also gathered that the man had abandoned the child. He felt a pang of sympathy for the child. Now the child became Mattia's new companion, and Mattia quickly saw that the child's IQ was exceptionally high. This meant the child was very intelligent and he could spot even the most minuscule change with ease. Using the child's abilities, these two quickly passed the first and second levels. And when they were attempting to pass the third level, the lights of the station began to flicker. Along with the crying of children, there was a strange sound of scurrying rats. When Mattia turned on his phone's light, he saw that man standing in a very bizarre way. Mattia got scared and ran back, following the child. He realized that he had passed another level. Everything that just happened was merely a test designed for them. They started wandering the maze to begin the next round. A woman appeared in front of them. Mattia knew that this woman was also an anomaly and that he had to turn back. But the child started to cry and ran toward the woman. The child was very emotional, so Mattia scooped him up and ran back with him. This is how they managed to pass another level. But even after clearing this level, even after winning half the game, Mattia was not happy because he was worried about the child who was so far away from his mother. He felt sorry for the child and held the child's hand tightly, and he promised himself that he would take the child back to his mother. The next time they were walking through the maze, they were surprised because they could not find any change. But the boy noticed that the exit 8 sign was now hanging upside down. Such a minor change that anyone would have overlooked was caught by the child's mind, and they immediately turned back. And this is how they managed to cross level 6. Now there were only 2 levels remaining. Mattia knew that after that he would be free from this maze and would return to his own world. But he didn't know why he had very strange feelings. When he started to cross the maze again, suddenly a huge flood of water came rushing from behind. Mattia wanted to go back with the child, but the child fell and was swept into the flood. Mattia himself did not continue forward. He plunged into the water to save the child. And as soon as he entered the water, Mattia's world completely changed. He began to feel strange, and then he saw himself standing near a beach. He saw that he had a friend with him, and the child who was with him was his family. He saw him as his own son. Here he was enjoying his time immensely with the child. And at this moment he realized that being a father is not a burden. Rather, it is a beautiful feeling and a wonderful relationship. Before he could think of anything more, he realized that his body was in a lot of pain and he snapped back to reality. Mattia and the child were still trapped in the rising water. Mattia used all his remaining strength to lift the child and try to keep him above the water. He hung the child on the board of exit 8 and he was swept away with the flow of water. The scene was cut and the scene after a while was shown. When the little child woke up, he found himself in a completely ruined place. The child turned around and started back again. Surprisingly, the child still remembered all the paths and all the rules. And when he turned back, he saw the number 7 on the exit board. This means that these two had crossed yet another level. The child knew that now only the last level was left which he had to cross. But now Mattia was not with him. On the other hand, we were shown that Mattia had finally reached the final level, level 8. He was surprised and he did not understand whether this was his victory or simply another trap. He could clearly see the stairs going up ahead. People were also walking on those stairs. He was confused about whether to go back or to go forward. He moved ahead and he got a call from his friend. Now there were signals on his phone which meant that he was in the real world. He is finally free from this terrible maze. When his friend answers the call, Mattia says that he is ready to take this responsibility. Mattia realized that he was now ready to become a father. Mattia now walks inside the metro. But the strange thing is that Mattia sees everything in this metro as if he has seen all these things before. In a little while, a child cries here and a man starts scolding the child and his mother. This is the exact same scene that we saw in the movie earlier inside Mattia's thoughts. Mattia saw people here and there. All of those people were weird. They were engrossed in their phones. Here Mataya's heart completely broke. He realized that this time also he was trapped in the game. After level 6, he didn't actually clear level 7. All of this was just a trap. He was trapped in a loop and he made a huge mistake. Seeing the abnormality, he didn't go back to the exit board but instead kept moving ahead. Now he is trapped in the very same loop from which he so desperately wanted to get out. And just by showing him, this movie ends right here with this mystery that whether Mataya is free or trapped in the same maze.